Well, good evening, everyone. It's been a little while, so I wanted to give a little bit of an update. We got made a lot of progress. Actually had a little bit of a setback, but I'm learning a lot from it, so I wanted to kind of share some of the things I learned. The long and the short of it is I had my first inspection this past week, my electrical rough-in inspection. There's a couple of things I needed to get adjusted and fixed, so I wanted to kind of share. First of all, interestingly enough, or not surprising, I'm using recessed canless LEDs rather, in the ceiling. And basically what I had was these boxes here mounted to the ceiling joists, and then that little pigtail right there is where the little LED pucks attached to in the circle hole in the drywall. That was one of the things that he wanted me to fix, was basically, should the lights ever fail like this, you can't really take that down when you're sticking your hand through a 4-inch hole. So he wants those to be accessible more so than they are now. The idea there, then what I ended up redoing is, he said it could be as simple as simply taking that staple out, but the cords wouldn't have been long enough anyhow. So what I ended up doing is redoing things. And so I got these kind of broken into stages a little bit, so I'll show you. So the short version is, we're gonna do, and this one is yet to be completely finished, but I'm putting these rough-in panels in here to hold the lights. I haven't moved that box yet. That's going to go. And if you can look real closely, you can see these two right there and right there, the little nubs. There's actually some wing nuts on the other side where you can attach that box right to that middle bracket. But then the idea is, of course, your Romex comes down through that hole and you can attach the box from underneath. The end of the result will look like this. And so I've got my pucks attached to the light. In this case, the box is just sitting on top of there, but it can get screwed down if you wish. And if you screw it down, it starts to look like this. You can kind of see that it's attached up there like that. So a couple of different ways to do it. And again, I wanted to kind of show you in stages. I have to redo all of those. There's 8 lights in this part of the room here, in the game room. I've got 4 more that I haven't done over here yet on the hallway, 2 in the bathroom, and then a whole bunch in the theater room and everywhere else. Moving on to the next thing I learned, we fortunately had this all set up basically right. This wall is a 20 amp circuit to the wet bar, and so we're all good to go there. Had my cable feed coming down here and going into, I think it was actually that box there, before it then runs around to everywhere else, so that's fine. Coming around into the bathroom, we figured out, and little did I realize, that this is a bathroom and this is a laundry room, and they need 2 separate circuits. They can't be on the same circuit, because technically a bathroom needs to be on its own and a laundry room needs to have its own. So what I previously did was I had my 20 amp coming into this box here and then splitting off to there and to the outlet that I have on the pony wall here. And now I have the 20 amp circuit coming right to that box and not going anywhere else. You can kind of see that that's just got one there. And I had to run a second circuit to this wall to power this box, which is going to be for the illuminated mirror. But that's just essentially my entrance junction box. From there, it also goes to that wall, to that little outlet next to where the vanity is going to go, and then comes around to the switches to power that outlet as well. So then everything on this half of the room is bathroom, and the only thing that ends up going into the laundry room as it is this one outlet. Now I think this is a little silly, because that outlet really will never get used, and because I have the big 10 gauge 240 volt line for the dryer, because because we're putting in a stackable washer and dryer here. But code is code, and that's what they say they need. Of course, the idea is that if you had a separate laundry or washing machine, it would plug into the 20 amp 120, and the dryer would plug into the 30 amp 240. So that's kind of the idea. But another one of those little things that I learned in the code. So there you go, knowledge sharing. Nothing gigantic in the theater room, but one of the things is that, of course, as you see, we've got all the existing lights that are up from when the builder put in all this stuff. And the idea there is that this box will either have to be stay there, and we have to put a blank on that through the drywall so that you can get into that box, or we take it all down. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to end up taking it all down. The reason I haven't done any of that, number one, is I need light, but that leads us into the other thing. Those lights are all turned on by that switch right there, and I'm going to reuse that switch for a three-way to turn on all the lights in this particular room, which means I've got a piece of Romex that comes down that's not yet terminated in this box. And he basically said that at the end of the day, everything needs to be complete and ready to go, and obviously a wire just hanging down there isn't one of them. In here, because we're putting a door on this and there's going to be drywall on this, I need to put a light in here for the storage unit. So small little thing, but that's one of the little things. And then more of the same in the theater room. So I'm going to end up taking down all of these lights, and I'm going to reuse, you know, one of those fixtures for the light in the closet. But again, you see more of these. So the idea here is that it holds up the light, and the box was all assembled with the wire going through the hole, so that in the end of the day, once the drywall's up, I can take that light down, the box will come through the hole, and I can replace, should I need to replace the light, I can do that below the ceiling instead of in the ceiling. I get it. The interesting thing is that he said that I technically didn't do it wrong, and the way I had it done, of course I still have it all set up in the office. I haven't changed it yet. And so this was the same idea as the way I had it done before. He says it's not wrong because there is a code that says you have to have a staple to attach the box. First of all, the box, considered it a junction box, has to be attached to the structure, and you have to have the staple within, I think it's 8 inches. So he says you're not actually technically wrong, but there's two competing codes, and he says I choose to enforce the more, shall we say, what he believes is the more important one, because it needs to be accessible, and the way it is now, we'd never be able to replace this LED. You know, if the box itself, the LED driver would fail, you wouldn't be able to do that without taking drywall out. So I get it. It's kind of like, well, that's annoying. That's one of those things. Other than that, that was the highlights of it. Everything else was looking pretty good. I did start working a little bit on some of the insulation, and I got my outlets in the floors. I've actually got 2 of those here, one sitting behind the subwoofer, and I have 2 of them up on the front here to eventually power what would be the powered chairs, you know, eventually when we have that. There's not going to be anything plugged into them now, but eventually if you get powered chairs, then I want to have power to them. Started putting a little bit of the insulation up. One of the other things, not from the electrical code, but from the mechanical code, is that you have to have a fire break every 10 feet in the soffit. And one of those other things that I learned is that you have to be able to have fire and gas break from separating your wall space from the horizontal space, in this case the soffit. So a 2x4 counts as the fire break, because obviously it's going to take a little bit for that to burn through, and gas can't really get through it either. So all of those are done, and that's been done for a while. But another one of those knowledge sharing things that I found is that you got to have fire breaks in there. I'm putting a bunch of insulation in here, not only for the fire break perspective, but I'm going to end up making that turn into a base trap. So it'll soak up some of the standing waves that accumulate in the corners, and not make the room so boomy. So we can actually have bass response without it being buzzy and vibrating and boomy. So we're gonna, you know, do a little bit more of that. Fill the corners and make them like a little bit of like a base trap. But that's basically it. You know, we have wire hanging down for the other lights that are gonna go. Of course, the other thing, only one little minor thing. These little boxes, I need to take the ground screw and terminate it to the little hole so that this box is grounded, because it's a metal box. If I had used a plastic box, you wouldn't have to do it, but it's a metal box, so the metal box has to be grounded even though it's not actually touching anything. So put a ground screw in each one of the 4 metal boxes, and there we are. Minor little things, but again, I wanted to, you know, spread a little knowledge sharing so people can learn. So with that, this is the week just before Memorial Day. So hopefully in another week or so I'll be able to pass the electrical inspection, and then framing inspection is not far behind. So with that, have a good one.